SMT Nation, we back. Nation, I've been doing a series of videos where I've been looking at this FCC data on home broadband. This particular data here you see on the screen is from 2023. We're expecting to get the 2024 data in the near term, maybe in the next few months. But what I want to do is make these videos so then we can look back to these videos when I make the new ones for 2024 and then compare how things are going in the industry. This particular instance, this is about fixed wireless access, probably the most important and impactful thing that's happened in home broadband in the last several years. Obviously, fiber is the best, and cable is seeing huge upgrades with like mid-splits and all these other things and DOCSIS technologies, and all that's great and worth celebrating, but fixed wireless access has been the most impactful industry segment in the entire calculus. They're taking huge gross adds from cable. They even take fiber customers, right, because of the cost-effective nature. But the most important thing and the thing we're monitoring is capacity. How are the speeds with fixed wireless access? Do we have to be concerned about people using mobile networks, right, as home broadband options? Is it going to make our mobile networks slower or worse and degrade them over time? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at the speed numbers here today, and then we'll take a look at the new numbers when we get them. So I want to start first by just a general overview of what the numbers tell us. So the biggest segment for fixed wireless access customers in terms of the speeds that they have access to, the biggest segment is the 100 to 250 megabit per second range. It basically is like 1 in 5 customers have access to those speeds. Doesn't say anything here about uplink speed. We're just looking at the downlink speed, typically what customers are interested in anyway. So 1 in 5 customers have access to legitimate broadband speed. 100 to 250 megs is quite fast, relatively speaking. It's probably more than adequate for like 99% of people. The next segment is the 18% where folks are getting 25 to 50 megabits. Now that is a low speed number. In my estimation, my humble opinion, I don't really think 25 to 50 megabits is adequate for a home in 2025. I just don't think it's enough. And then the uplink speed for that tier is probably only going to be a couple of megabits. So that one is one we're going to look to see if that number decreases over time. Now, encouragingly, there is two 17% categories. The one is between 250 and 500, and the other is less than 25 megabits. So the one that's less than 25 megabits, that's really concerning. We're trying to get those folks access to something better, right? What they have, that's just not good enough. Like less than 25 meg, that could be anywhere from 1 megabit to 25 megs, right? And that's just not ideal. Now the 250 to 500, that's very encouraging. The fact that it's in the top 3, values along with the 100 to 250 range, that's encouraging and that's great. There is kind of like a segment of 16% of customers that's gray here, and there's no indicator for that, so I'm guessing that's kind of like the unknown of where to place them. I'm not sure how that number got so big, but who knows? You have 6% of the population using fixed wireless with access to 500 plus megabits. That's where we want to see folks at, right? We want to see that number get bigger in the future. 500 meg is legitimate home broadband. That is competitive with cable. That is competitive with fiber. Now, maybe not with uplink speed, but we'll discuss that in a moment. 5% of the population access to 50 to 100 megabits. Now, 5 years ago, that would have been cool. But we're in a different place in 2025, where people's home broadband uses are increasing. The amount of bandwidth that they require for each individual application is increasing, and they're having more and more things connected in the home, from surveillance and camera systems to, personal computers and gaming, Xbox Live, PS5s and other things. I mean, there's just so much, right? Content creators, 4K video and all those things. The numbers just continue to increase in usage. So you're going to need that number to increase in time. 50 to 100, in my opinion, is an absolute bare minimum for someone in 2024. But in 25, these numbers need to improve. So here's the expectation, and here's where I think the trends are going. The 25 to 50 megabit per second range, that should be decreasing over time. We don't want to see that number increasing or being flat. We want to see people getting elevated. Now, the 50 to 100 megabits, that should be flat or it should decrease. And the reason I say that is because more people should have access to more bandwidth over time. Now, if some of the 25 to 50 range goes into the 50 to 100 range, then that's an improvement. Not ideal, but it is a positive move upward. So that's why I'm saying this number could be flat year over year, but we ideally would like to see that number decrease as more folks get into the higher tier of speeds. So the 100 to 250, that number should increase. The numbers from 250 meg to 500 meg, that should also increase. And then the 500 meg plus, I think that number should increase, but probably a little bit slower than the previous tiers, like the 250 to 500 or the 100 to 250. Those are the ones that should increase the more rapidly and should increase by larger margins or portions. So that's where I think things are going. That's where I think the trend will be. We'll get the data. We'll do an analysis of it and kind of overview and compare. Guys, the main key point here is that the mobile providers like T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T need to continue to densify their networks, increase the fiber circuit access to their tower sites, get more bandwidth on air, and they can really make these numbers go up. And then also, I think, and this is kind of like to a lesser extent because they're smaller providers, the wireless ISPs, like Crow's Nest Broadband, shout out to Crow's Nest. He knows what I'm talking about. They need to be provided more opportunities to reach more addresses. I think they got to get some BEAD dollars, in my humble opinion. If you're able to offer customers 500 plus megabit per second, you are legitimate broadband. You can compete with cable. You can compete with fiber, right? So I think all of this spells trouble for cable. And I think obviously for fiber a little bit because fixed wireless access typically comes in cheaper. So if the performance to cost continues to improve, customers are winning. Customers are getting better value. Fixed wireless access is becoming more and more available because more and more network builders are starting to reach more places. T-Mobile's got like, I think almost a 70% addressable market rate across the country, right? Verizon's at like 30+%. They're probably going to double that number here in the next year. I think AT&T's number is going to increase too as they build out their 5G plus network. And if regional ISPs, the wireless ISPs, start to get more access to BEAD dollars, they will build it, right? So this is all great for us. As the consumer, you benefit because your costs improve, your performance and reliability improves, optionality, getting choices, improves everything from innovation to performance to cost for customers. We're winning. These numbers are improving. We'll look at the new ones when they come out and we'll compare them. Keep track of this data. We'll put it in our memory banks. We'll come back to this video and this data at a later time. But it's good times, guys. Things are trending up. Trust me, these numbers weren't this good just a couple of years ago. Very exciting. We'll see what happens in the future. But comment. Let me know if you've been using fixed wireless access. How has it been for you? Which category are you in? Which speed category? I'm excited to read what you guys have to say on it, what you have access to. I've used fixed wireless in the past. I would say the category that I'm typically in is that 250 to 500, which is the light blue segment, right? The 17%, and that number should continue to increase. But we'll see what happens. But let me know. Drop me a comment down below. You all the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard. Like, share, and subscribe for more. And don't forget to turn on that bell notifications icon to never miss an upload from the SMT. See you guys in the next video.